Hi and welcome to Series 2, Episode 8 of the Hidden London Hangouts. My name's Alex Grunton. Hello. We are going somewhere that we've been before, only we're going to do it much, much better this time because we're very, very thorough people. If you've never watched one of these episodes before, we go to the places that you can't go so you don't have to, and it's fabulous. I don't do this on my own. I've got three amazing people from the London Transport Museum to help me. First of all, Chris Nix from the London Transport Museum. We're going back in time, but it's going to be fab, isn't it?
We are, as they say, let's all go down the Strand.
Absolutely, it's going to be awesome. And City Holloway, I hope it's unisex, your top, because I'd love to wear that shirt. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, you would actually look great in this. I think this would really suit your colouring. I'll have it sent over, shall I?
Well, I could have any colour that I have. They're all there on that shirt. It's beautiful. And
it's kind of Hidden London themed, isn't it?
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's almost like a roundel stretched out across a shirt. It's wonderful. I'm loving it. And Laura Hilton Brown, speaking of sartorial elegance, your top is the same colour as the tiles in this station. You are colour brilliant.
Ah, you see, Alex, I knew you'd notice. This little jumper here is homage to my favourite coloured tile. And I've just realised, because I'm greedy and I have two mugs, that I have my L mug and my tile mug, which are both clues for today, because this station is a lovely L shape. It begins with the letter of your mug, and these are the tiles.
Tiles, teeny tiles. I love it. And it is A, but it's funny because it started off as an S. So you've already guessed, haven't you? For anybody who knows anything about the places that we've been to on the Hidden London Hangout, started as an S, ended up as an A, then closed. It's got to be Aldwych, hasn't it? And we have been there before, as I say. But we actually today start our tour at a T for Temple.
So it's a lovely sunny day. What else are we going to do but head down to Embankment and to Temple Station and to look for a map. Fancy seeing you here.
So, look at this amazing thing. This is a proper tube heritage map from 1932, and there's so many bits on here that you need to look at. First of all, 55 Broadway, the head office of London Underground, had its own little sign. Victoria 6800 was the phone number. Look up here, you've got Post Office Station, which is now St Paul's. You've got Mark Lane, St Mary's. Mark Lane, obviously, is Tower Hill. Looking a bit further down here, thank you very much, cameraman. Trinity Road, Tooting Bec. South Wimbledon, that's Merton. And then up we come. Queen's Road is Queensway. So many different amazing moments here. And of course, Highgate, which changed its name 4 times. Highgate, Highgate Archway, Archway Highgate, and then Archway. All so beautiful. I love this map. This is possibly my favourite map ever, having actually had time to study it.
But we're actually here today because of this one. We are stood at Temple Station, and almost on top of it is Aldwych. We're going to go there now.
Did you see that grubby old plaster that I was wearing?
I was going to say, what have you injured yourself doing?
That was quite worrying, wasn't it? See, today, I've not got them on. It was only yesterday that we filmed that. It was wonderful. I cut myself while I was on holiday on a piece of porcelain. So I gashed my hand. I know. So anyway, this isn't really very important. This isn't really very important, but I was just very aware that I was wearing a grubby old plaster. We are at Aldwych. We started at Temple, but Chris, just give us a potted history of Aldwych, just to get us started.
Sure, yeah. So Aldwych Station originally opened as Strand Station on the 30th of November 1907. And it didn't last long by that name, though. It changed its name to Aldwych in May of 1915. And the name Strand was given to what we now know as Charing Cross Station at the other end of the Strand. On the 20th of September 1940, the station closed to passenger traffic so it could be used for civilian shelter during the Blitz and then throughout the rest of the Second World War. And it didn't reopen to passenger traffic until the 1st of July 1946. The station then carried on with very, very few people using it, ever declining numbers really, until 1994 on the 30th of September when the station closed. And that was really because the 2 Otis lifts there were life expired. They needed a lot of maintenance or refurbishment, and the cost of it just couldn't be justified for the number of people who were using the station.
So sad, isn't it? And it's the same time as the Epping Ongar branch shut. They shut that on the same day as well. So sad. And it's really weird because I know the area very well, and you'll understand why in a minute. But let's take a look at the frontage, Chris, because it's such a cute picture, this, and it's from just before it opened. It wasn't even finished, the station. Just so pretty. Look at that.
It's quite handsome, isn't it? You notice as well, it says opens December, so they managed to do it early.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Laura, this is one of your favourite stations of all time, isn't it?
Do you know what? It absolutely is. And, you know, what a life and what a history it's had as well. And hopefully what a future as well. Because I know in its lifetime, it's been part of many kind of unrealised extension proposals. So it should have gone further south, but it didn't. And it's also used in its more contemporary and modern form in today for iconic TV, film, and music kind of productions, which is fantastic. And it's also used really significantly as training for the emergency services. So it really has got this, there's so many gems to go at this station. My head is brimming with so many things about it. I mean, it's built on the site of the former Royal Strand Theatre. It's designed by architect Leslie Green. It's got those lovely kind of red tile work outside. As I said before, it's an L shape. It's got 2 facades. It's got the Surrey Street and the Strand, 3 huge lift shafts. I think only one of which was ever fully kind of furnished and used, but those lifts still exist now when you go in, and they're beautiful. It's got a vintage ticket office, original Edwardian bathrooms, and the tiles, cream and green. I mean, there's and it's got a spiral staircase. I mean, there's so much to go at, right?
Yeah, and there is. And we've got so much stuff to try and cram into this Hidden London Hangout. So let's carry on.
You know what I just remembered, actually? Weirdly, whilst you were just saying that, I remember seeing Aldwych for the first time back in like 2011, I think. And I remember walking past it and just being completely mesmerised, not really knowing anything about the history of the Underground or anything at the time, and just wondering, like, what is that? What is, like, why is that there? Isn't it serendipitous that this is now my profession?
I think that should be your middle name, Serendipity. You get away with that, City Holloway. It'd be marvellous.
Serendipity Holloway.
Serendipity Holloway with that top on should be great. And it's funny enough because it does have a very special place in my heart too. And Chris and I took a look at what you can see as you walk down Surrey Street, just off the Aldwych. The frontage is all still there, isn't it, Chris? Let's take a look. This is Surrey Street, just around the corner from Temple, and it's got loads of special memories for me because just down there at the Norfolk Hotel that was now the Norfolk building of King's College London is where I did my geography degree, and just beside it is the facade of the old Aldwych station. And Chris, the thing that I notice about these tiles is you can see the imperfections in the daylight. You can just see where these are not manufactured by modern machines. These were done the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, and I mean, it's unusual for the camera to actually capture it, but in the sunlight you can actually see exactly what you're talking about. Those subtle variations in the glaze and the form of the surface just not quite being perfect. Actually, for me, it adds to the perfection. It makes it much more interesting than if it was a kind of a machine moulded, very flat-fronted looking building.
Totally, and you can see the different types of tile as well. So you've got the gorgeous Oxblood red Leslie Green ones, but then you can also see those little square ones in the centre between exit and entrance. And then, of course, you've got those amazing letters that are made, obviously, from clay as well. And the other thing I really love about this, Chris, if you walk over here to the entrance, behind this shuttered door, you just get a tiny shot of those beautiful green interior tiles as well that we all love. Of course, I'm not going to be allowed in today, am I? Because this is all locks.
Indeed, we've conspired to not take you round to show you, so we're going to have to do it on camera, I'm afraid.
Okay, well this is good, but look at that as a facade. And next time you're in this area, go and look at this one, and also the one that's on the Strand itself, because they are both beautiful, beautiful buildings that have stood the test of time. Oh, you see, that's where my fun ends for this episode, because I was on holiday when they got in there, and it's really hard to get time in Aldwych Station. So I'm afraid I cooked my own goose by going to Greece, which is a real shame. But the team did decide to basically tease me for the rest of the episode. So, Chris, we have a 360 image of the booking hall that I didn't see, haven't we?
We do. Let's have a look at that now. So you do at least get to see behind that door.
Oh, I know what stuff's coming in this episode. It is so good. So good. Stay there.
So as if by magic, we're now in the booking hall, and we'll just set this moving so we can have a bit of a look.
Oh, well, look at that. So there's a writing on the wall, literally. Same for my career. And lots of proliferation of fire extinguishers there, Mr. Nix.
You can never have enough in my experience.
Do you know what I love as well? The doors. Because, I mean, you know, Laura, all of the woodwork.
As well.
Yeah, the woodwork is beautiful, isn't it, Laura?
It is. I missed that off my list earlier on, didn't I, when I was rattling through all of the things that I love about Aldwych. But I think it is all of these things together when you go in, just it's such a lovely atmosphere. It really does kind of help you step back in time.
Beautiful. But just as well, Siddy, the ladies' bogs are so much nicer than the gents.
Yeah, well, I mean, are they? I think they've modernized the gents a little bit. They've added some parts.
Perhaps paper down. People who can't.
Yeah, I mean, what I went in there to wash my hands, and there's like they've put in a new sink so you can do that, but it all drains out into the urinals, which I thought was very interesting.
It sounds quite typical for a gents' toilet, to be fair.
I can't say that I know them that
No, they're like a farmyard, most of them. They're pretty grim. It's terrible. Chris Nix, you obviously know gents' toilets very, very well. What do you think? What do you think of?
We need to rein this back in, guys. Come on.
The gents' toilets here sont pareils, they're magnifique. But as Siddy mentions, the sinks do drain in there. So if somebody goes in there to wash their hands, it does sound like somebody's been, leaving it a bit too long between loo breaks.
It's all pretty grim, I have to say. It's all pretty grim. But funnily enough, in case you were wondering what it was like when the station was very first built, we've got a very curious picture of the street, and it took us a while to work out where the photograph was taken from, but Mr. Nix, I think you've cracked it.
Yeah, so this is a rather lovely photo from 1907, which shows the Aldwych area. And it's a bit hard, if you know the area now, to look at this and place where you are. But Siddy, do you want to just talk us through what we've got here?
Yeah, so basically, if you were looking kind of to the left, God, I don't even know my left to rights anymore. The left of the shot here, you're basically looking sort of up towards Kingsway, the street, and to the right you see a construction site, and that's where Bush House is today, that beautiful old building that's right at the end of Kingsway, which was actually, when it opened, the most expensive building in the world, which is quite extraordinary, isn't it? And just looking down there, you're basically looking down towards Fleet Street, just on the sort of start of the curve of Aldwych.
And the second church that's always hidden by trees.
Yeah,
you probably would miss if you didn't know it was there. But yeah, Bush House to your right, Kingsway up towards Holborn on your left. So we're looking at sort of where the LSE was or is now,
exactly.
Over in that.
So the church you can see there is St. Clement's, and if you just see that main stand of buildings in front of you, it's really quite a humble looking area at the time, and the area is transitioning from being really a slum area into the much grander thing that we know today of Kingsway.
And is that St. Clement's as in oranges and lemons? Sing the bells of St. Clement's?
I've never tried tasting the walls of it, but yeah, I believe so.
Say the bells of St. Clement's, I owe you 5 farthings, say, on all that one. But when we sang this kid, I think it is, isn't it? How cool is that? We've even got a nursery rhyme in this today. This is great. Listen, this is all very well, all very nice, but frankly, I want to get down and dirty in that station. So take me down there, girls.
So here we are, 160 steps, about 30 metres underground at Aldwych. We're here today to shoot some footage for the virtual tours. and we thought we'd do a little piece for the Hangout as well. One of my favourite stations. I always bang on about Aldwych, don't I? But it's nice to be back down here. It's been a while.
It's really cool, and also just to be able to have the place to ourselves to do some shooting is quite eerie, and there are some footsteps that you can hear that will just show you Chris is actually shooting some of that content now, so let's try and ambush him, shall we?
We're going to hide and then ambush. Plan?
Yeah, plan.
You were having too much fun. I'm sorry, this is without me, this is just not fair. Although I have to say, well done, City, because let's face it, if I'm not there, someone's got to keep the end up when it comes to trouble. This is excellent work. I did like your masks, by the way, museum masks, very, very nice. I've got mine just over there, actually, in Misha Black. Very, 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 very lovely stuff. And down at the bottom there, bottom of your big shaft, there looked like several doors there. So it opened with 2 lifts, but it looked like there was enough room for several, City. Was that right?
Yeah, exactly. So it opened only with 2 lifts, and there were only ever 2 lifts in operation at the station. But it was built with 3 lift shafts, which is actually a huge overestimation of what ended up being a very lightly used kind of branch line of the Piccadilly line, just like a shuttle service, basically. I mean, I think around when the station closed in 1994, there were only about 900 people going through the station every day. I mean, that for an underground station is so low. But yeah, there was the capacity to fit 6 different lifts in that station, which may have been useful had the plans to extend from Aldwych under the River Thames down to Waterloo ever come to fruition, which was something that was discussed quite a few times, even as early as sort of 1917 they started discussing that, but as I said, never came to fruition. So wild overestimation in the building there.
Totally. I mean, it's in that sense, it always makes me feel quite sad to look at Aldwych, because it was one of those stations which had such grand designs and it just never came to much. But even so, we've got this amazing thing for you guys to see. So, girls, did you manage to find Chris Nicks and his roving lens?
Oh, yes, we did. Well, Laura and I kind of have to sort of duck behind. So that's just me bossing Chris around, because I mean, somebody's got to.
This is basically how it works, just to let you know.
See what I have to put up with, Alex.
You do very well to manage this, as you do. I mean, that picture in itself is a peculiar part of the tube station, because it looks, and it is the tube station, it looks nothing like any tube station that anyone would normally know, because the walls are not finished off. So
yeah, exactly. Well,
it's a station of 2 halves, isn't it? Half finished, half unfinished.
It is, and when you go down there, it's so weird because some parts of it are tiled, others are not. And what you were just looking at there, so as you know, and as we've spoken about before, about Leslie Green stations, they had this kind of constant flow of passengers. So you entered into the lifts one way and you exited the other way. So you weren't sort of kind of mixing people together. Well, that was the idea with Aldwych, but they actually never finished it. So there's this entire back section, which would have been the exit of the station, that was just never completed. It's just been there, kind of like disused, even before the station opened.
And funny you should say that. It's a pertinent time to say that, because we can have a look at the difference between the finished bit and the unfinished bit in this.
Yeah, and just before we launch into that, it's important to say that the walls that you're looking at are basically the raw cast iron lining rings infilled with concrete, ready to have the tiles applied, but that never happens. That's what you're looking at. What we're going to do now is just to follow one of those little walkthroughs that I did with the first person camera, so you get a flavour of what the finished and the unfinished is like.
So what you just saw there was the difference between the unfinished part of the station and the finished part of the station. And, you know, we went through the lift shaft, like Lloyd Grossman, and out into the bit that's got the tile work. And we should say at this point, Chris, that the unfinished bit is not accessible at all to the public, is it? Because it's just not in a fit state to be visited. It's locked off, and it's unsafe, really. Not even the stairs are finished off, are they?
That's right. No handrails, no kind of nosings or treads on the steps. And because it's utterly unfinished, it's an area that we've never been able to take people on our public tours. There's a huge amount to see of the finished station on those tours, but these bits have always been firmly off limits. So it's a kind of an extra, if you like, that is there in our new virtual tours. And
that's the point of all this, isn't it? Because with these virtual tours, I mean, COVID has kind of kiboshed so many things, but actually it's given you guys the opportunity to have. So I don't work for the London Transport Museum, I'm merely an observer, but I'm so impressed at how these guys have taken a terrible situation like COVID and actually almost given us, the punters, more of a view of these places than ever we would have done before because of these virtual tours. It's really, really impressive. And Laura, you guys got special permission to go in those private bits, didn't you?
We did. I mean, we work really closely with the station and the area managers for the Hidden London tours, and they really give up a lot of their kind of time and diary for us, which we are hugely appreciative of. I mean, Hidden London as a programme wouldn't exist without that collaboration. So, you know, that's really, really important for us that we get that. And it's really off the back of that when we asked about the virtual tours, if we could get access to these spaces, because like you said before, Alex, they're just not possible for us to take the public into. It's not safe, and it wouldn't be safe for people to go into those areas. So it's phenomenal that we can get this footage so that we can put it out in a virtual capacity for people to see. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, we have been down to these spaces, but when you watch those virtual tours, it's really lovely that you kind of feel like you're in the spaces. Well, that's how I feel. I don't know how it makes you feel, but
Yeah, I was just going to say to you, I before we did the Brompton Road episode, I had not seen the Brompton Road virtual tour. And I'm a cynic by nature, and I thought, yeah, it'd be all right. Yeah, but it blew my mind, because the point of the matter is, when you're on a tour, you're waltzing around and there are people all around you talking and stuff like that. It's all right, but you can concentrate on what you see. And as you saw just when we went through from the unfinished bit to the finished bit of Aldwych, that's what you get on the tour. And I was so impressed. And this is why it's so nice to get some of these freebies on here as well, because it's lovely. It's really impressive what I've seen so far. Chris, I want to see more. And why is it, Siddy, that you're always sprawled on stairs? This is my trick when I've had too much to drink.
Well, you know, I'll do anything for the right shot.
What, you mean like a shot?
I mean any type of shot, Alex. Whether
Vodka
it be
shots.
a vodka shot or a photograph. No, so I was just crouching down there in order to make sure I got the money shot, so to speak.
We do get some amazing shots, and what I love about that picture we just saw was the tile work on the stairs. More of that to come in a few minutes, but there are two platforms at Aldwych. One of them is the one that everyone used to use until 1994 when it shut, and the other one actually only lived for 10 years. So it's opened in 1907, two platforms up to Holborn, and then there was one that shut in 1917. And we're going to take a little look down there. Again, this is not where the public normally goes. This is special access. Take a look at this. Enjoy.
Just on my way to find Siddy, who is taking some shots. Oh, there she is. Actually, that genuinely did quite scare me. So, here we are. We have to be quiet because Chris is doing some filming for the VTs.
Now look, there's so much in that little film. First of all, you girls, you're too early for Halloween. That's next week. More on that in a minute. I love the fact there was the A and the N from Strand written in the tiles. Gorgeous. And also noticed, Laura, beady eyes, that down those stairs, there were tiles that looked like they should have been from Piccadilly Circus.
Aha, you
Beady
and your beady
eyes.
eyes. I like it. I know. Well, I noticed this as well. And Aldwych has been used for quite a lot of tile design kind of experimentation, and there's different bits of tiling all over that platform. And I thought, as Siddy was super busy doing all her still shots and Chris was off doing his virtual tours, and I just have to sneak around whispering and hiding in various places, which is rather bizarre, but I quite enjoy it. So I took myself off and just did a little tile bit for you guys so we could have a little debate on what was our preference.
I think it's about time we colour checked Laura's jumper against the tiles on the wall at the dear old Aldwych. So let's have a look at her tile extravaganza.
So on one side of this passageway, we have my favourite, the teal tile. And then, steady hands, move to the other side. Oh, we have a green, brown and cream combo. I should put this to the team and see which is the winner.
I think I know which is the winner though.
Go on then.
Because I can't imagine anyone picking the brown and cream and green over that lovely teal. But if you do, totally your choice. I'll be fine with it. But yeah, teal's
just beautiful. I just love those old tiles. And I think, you know, Siddy and Chris and I have all agreed. I know this is Laura's fave station, so you don't need to convince her. But actually for us, the beauty of that station is that sea green, and it's just beautiful. I mean, and when you see the walls, which are tiled in this fashion, no two tiles are the same. And that is what makes it so special, because there is what looks like a beautiful pattern. It is all accidental, and it's all to do with the depth of the glaze and the colour within it, isn't it, Chris?
It is, yeah. These tiles are almost artisanal in the way that they're produced, and the depth of this glaze, the range of colour, is what, as you say, makes it stand out as a beauty. So hard to describe what that colour is.
I almost don't want to give it a name because it's so special. It's so beautiful. You've almost got black in there, and it goes to teal within a couple of inches. It's just beautiful, and every tile, as I say, looks different, and yet you've got these beautiful cream ones that contrast it. And look, not a line of grout. Whoever did that tiling, my goodness, there were no matchsticks used there, were there, or spacers? It was all beautifully butt joined. It was just wonderful.
I think even when they're, you know, crazed and aged as they are, that kind of sea green colour really has a charm to it. And where you see the ones which aren't as damaged and crazed, it's just a stunning station. So I do see why Laura is such a fan to be sporting the jumper.
Totally.
I'm a bit obsessed, actually. Is that really sad?
No, it's not at all.
Can I be cool?
I think it's beautiful. It's, of all the things you could be obsessed with, honestly, you could be chasing people around like a stalker. Instead, you're worried about tiles. It's great. Absolutely lovely. And interestingly, girls, because Chris keeps mentioning this word crazed, can we think of a different English word that would make more sense to the public? Anybody?
Crazed.
Cracking? Cracked?
Cracked. Yeah, probably.
Do, wouldn't it? Little baby crack. Baby cracks.
Oh, yeah. Teeny tiny
cracks. And since we're on tiles as well, up in the booking hall, there are some just cracking examples of great tiles. But there's also, Chris, being a bit of a snob that you can be about tiles, you think there are some not so good tiles in there as well.
Well, there are some tiles which are not original. You'd be forgiven for thinking they were at first glance. Here they are. And the ticket hall was modified later in the station's life. And one of the lift shafts was turned into a ticket office. And when they did that, they put some replica tiles on there, which attempt to imitate the Leslie Green style ones that we've talked about before and we've seen in previous episodes like Brompton Road. But they weren't done as templates from the originals. And so they're just not quite right. And the depth of the colour on them just isn't there. And they're just not as nice as the real original things, in my view.
They still look quite nice. It reminds me of a fish and chip shop or a pie and mash shop. Don't know why. Just looks lovely. Or an eel, pine eels. Great stuff. East London Fair. It's marvellous. What a lovely little canter around that station with some really cool footage as well. Thank you so much. I think it's well worth us going back to Aldwych to kind of do it justice, because season 1, episode 1 was far more about us getting to know each other really than a tube station tour. So it's nice to go back and get, you know, down and dirty with the amazing tile work and the platforms and everything else. And as you can see, that this station just kind of unpacks itself in front of you. It's just absolutely wonderful. So much to go at, really, and we've done it, which is great. Notes, queries and questions. We've got some amazing stuff to come. But first of all, Chris, we need to just talk about Patreon. Patreon.
Yeah, so Patreon. We are busily working away on the scheme to give you extra bits behind the scenes of the behind the scenes and more access to chat to the team. So that is coming in the next few weeks. Very
excited about that. Very excited about that. And loads of people are asking about the catchphrase of the series now. Anybody? I might actually tell you on Patreon first. So I might do that because I think it's worth keeping a bit of a secret. Anybody? So I might do that. It'll be all right. Another good reason to have a look at it.
We know. We've been trying to find out.
Yeah, we were walking down Embankment yesterday, weren't we, me and you, Mr. Nix, on our way to have a glass of wine, and you said, so this anybody, where's that come from? I'm not telling you. I'll tell you another time. Notes, queries and questions. Thank you very much for sending us in some really cool questions. And this one is from Jennifer Flannery, who's stateside. Thank you very much for watching us from America. We love you. Why are Bayswater and Queensway stations so close together, and yet they're not joined by tunnels, underground walkways, or the like? Christopher Nix.
Well, I think this might be one that we do properly on a feature episode, but the short answer would be rival railways building stations without any kind of central planning, and them both taking advantage of the way-leave underneath roads, so that they don't have to pay for the ground under which they're tunnelling. But that's the short answer. Siddy, anything you want to add on that?
No, not really. I mean, I think that's kind of that hits the nail on the head, really. It is all about rivalry in that early Edwardian period. All these different companies fighting for a piece of the pie, and then again, you know, getting amalgamated later in the 30s and earlier than that. So I think you're absolutely right on that theory.
So yeah, the original station is done by the Metropolitan District, and is much earlier than that Central Line one that then comes through and puts the second station there. Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you very much indeed for that, team. I've also got a question. Alex from London. Oh, hello. Has a question for the team. And it came up, girls, in our drinks yesterday. Me and Mr. Nix went out after a bit of filming and had a couple of drinks. And I can guarantee that this is going to be a question that you will want to know the answer to as well. Electric toothbrushes, Mr. Nix. How come when you plug them in, you don't electrocute yourself when you put them on there like that? Why is that, Mr. Nix? Because you told me, and I think the world needs to know.
Right. Okay. That's random. Do you want to know?
They do, actually.
Okay.
I mean,
yes, I told you. Everybody wants to know.
I've always wondered about it because it just sort of looks like plastic, doesn't it? Well, I was wondering if there's like some kind of magnetic thing in there, maybe. Tell us, Chris, tell us.
Random answers with the Hidden London squad. So basically, you've got two halves of a transformer there. The base of the toothbrush is one coil of the transformer, which is connected into the mains, and then the toothbrush in the base of it has got another coil. And when you get the two close enough together, one induces a current in the other, and that's how you make the electrical connection without actually having bare contact. It's a bit like how your mobile phone might have a I actually didn't have this there as a prop, but I just happen to have one of these charging bases where you don't have to touch your phone on. You do that. It's the same thing, really. It's an induction coil. It's basically like two halves of a transformer.
When you say transformer, you don't presumably mean a robot that changes into cars.
Robots in disguise? No.
But no, and I don't happen to have a transformer sat around to show you.
Okay.
I do have a plug, if that helps. I've always got a plug nearby, if that helps.
Did Alex from London, when he asked this question, know that Alex and Chris from Hidden London both have a small plug obsession, perhaps?
Kind of. Maybe. See, I
Brilliant.
think this is another one for Patreon, isn't it? Why is it that Alex and Chris have got this mild obsession with electric plugs? If you're in America, by the way, this is how we do it. How lovely. You do something a bit more not like that. That's Europe. But anyway, happy days. So at least everyone now knows how they work, and we all know the deal of a transformer, which is very, very exciting too. Thank you very much indeed, team. Aldwych and toothbrushes are all completely included in this wonderful little canter. Thank you, Chris Nix.
Thank you, Alex. That was an interesting and unexpected end to this week's episode. I look forward to more randomness next week.
I love it. See, everybody can be surprised, and even the team when I do it. This is great. Laura Hilton-Brown, I love your top and I love your tiles.
Thank you so much. And I'm really, really glad, obviously, that we got to revisit Aldwych, because it's probably, you know, the best known wartime shelter. And I'm so glad that this little hub of underground treasure has had like another explosion into an episode. I'm super glad we've done it.
And City Holloway, we just love you, and I love your shirt. And next week, you may actually be in Iceland for...
well, thank you kindly, Mr. Grun. I will be in Iceland next week because I'm going away a little bit for my... to visit some family and for my birthday. So I'll have a different backdrop. Haven't quite worked out what that will be, but you shall see.
I love it. What you need is a makeup artist to draw you a roundel on the walls. Your mother will love that. That'd be great. Now, listen, if you need to find out a bit more about us, our Instagram feeds are full of this stuff. So why not follow Alex Grundon, Chris Nix, Laura Brown and City Holloway, and the LT Museum Instagram as well, which is fabulous. On YouTube, just below, why don't you like and subscribe to these films, this one and all the others in Series 1 and Series 2. Like them because we love you. Drop your comments as well. Slip into our DMs if you've got any questions about London's transport system or anything else you'd like to get an answer to, perhaps how the toothbrushes work. It's all good, and it's all a good fodder for us. Next week, you saw the girls scaring Chris. We're going to get quite scary as well because it's Halloween. Have yourself a great day and stay safe.